Hey, welcome to another episode of Historic Headstones of Norfolk. We are here at Elmwood Cemetery. Unfortunately, we are right next to the HRT garage because we're on 5th Avenue East, all the way up against the back wall. We're going to be talking about Joseph Faber. He died May 30th, 1923. He's on this stone here. Joseph was one of Norfolk's best-known citizens and photographers. He was 63 years old when he passed, and he owned his own photography business for over 40 years. He moved to Norfolk in 1875, and his studio was one of the first modern photography studios set up in the city. For many years, Mr. Faber was located on Main near Church, and his clientele grew to such proportions among the most exclusive people of the city that he did family portraits, but he also did post-mortem photography as well. Photography owes much of its early flourishing to death, not images depicting the aftermath of violent crimes or industrial accidents, instead through quiet pictures used to comfort grieving friends and relatives. These post-mortem photographs, as they're known, were popular through mid-19th century through early 20th century. Common enough to grace mantelpieces. They usually see them, on top of the mantelpiece, on top of a fireplace, usually. Historians estimate during the 1840s, the medium's first decade, as cholera swept through Britain and America, photographers recorded deaths and marriages by a ratio of 3 to 1. Budding practitioners had barely learned to handle the bulky machinery and explosive chemicals before they were asked to take the likeness of the dead. That's the one where you had one guy holding and one guy using the photo and you go poof. It was that type of photography. All right, so what they had to do is they had to bend the lifeless limbs into natural poses and mask telltale signs of sickness, racing against rigor mortis. So you'll see them either sitting in a chair, or if it's a child, the parents might hold the child. The arms are usually crossed, and they usually some way force the eyes to stay open. Many people found photos of the dead creepy or morbid, no question. Post-mortem photographs are sorrowful images. They capture the ravages of illness. They depict grieving parents. They show wives caressing the faces of lost husbands just for a chance to be tender toward them one last time. And they portray unbearably beautiful children posed as if asleep, surrounded by the toys they play with while alive. During the 1840s and 1850s, a post-mortem photo will likely have been the first and only portrait of somebody. At $2 each, which is roughly $60 today, photographs were costly, and America's own expansive studios were miles away from households. But death changes things. People who had never given a thought to the medium now turned it into desperation. Decades later, in trade journals like the Philadelphia Photographer, veteran photographers wrote of how parents would arrive at the doorsteps of stillborn infants to whom they hadn't even given a name to yet, and they would say, "Can you photograph this, please?" Not even a name, they just called it this. Implored one young mother, opening a wooden basket to reveal a tiny face like waxwork. It looked like a wax figure from a museum. Almost all the post-mortem photographs from this period were daguerreotypes, the dominant mode of photography for the first 15 years. The daguerreotype was rendered on a copper sheet and finished to look like a mirror. When held at the right angle, a grieving widow would have seen her image meld with that of her husband, a striking reunion after death. Daguerreotypes were produced as three-dimensional objects meant for the hand as much as the eye. They came in small cases of leather or ivy, opened by a delicate handle. Inside, the image lay cuddled in velvet. It was kept safe, the image of one's beloved. They kept other things too, like a baby's curl of their hair or a piece of the girl's ribbon. Many post-mortem pictures show parents cradling their children or wives alongside their deceased husband. The corpse figures prominently, but also do the shattered expressions of those left behind. A surprising number of fathers appear at this time, men who openly admit their grief. There are parents so young they look like children themselves. Many subjects make trembling attempts at self-composure. Rituals held the living overcome the desire to die with the dead. As a ritual, post-mortem photography helped check grief. By pressing subjects to execute specific poses and gestures, death photos help the living eternalize personal loss. So he is actually one of the few people here in Norfolk that did post-mortem photography, and that's why we're making a video about him today, because it was rare here, but he was one of the best at it. All right, guys, take care and have a great day.